Got it. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am fabulous. Fabulous.
We are finally returning to the goddess chat.
I know.
It's been a month. We've had a lot that has happened this last month, and I'm grateful we were able to take a pause, but also very grateful to be back back in our
Yeah.
together. It always is uplifting, and the conversations we have are inspiring for me. So I am grateful to be back into our flow. How are
Me
you
too.
feeling about that?
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to be back. Yes, we took a break. Did I really take a break? I wish yes and no.
Yeah.
And it's become apparent to me that I need to be a little kinder to myself. And however, fills my cup so that I can give more.
Yeah.
So
and
welcome.
I think that our taking pause is the divine feminine way, right? It is about the yin, it is about the slowing down, it is about the taking rest so that whatever creations you have activated or you are seeking to create can begin to do their more passive work, right? And I know for myself, we took 10 days and went to Hawaii, which was wonderful and amazing and very busy and relaxing and and
all the things. Yep.
And our last day, our last 24 hours there was pretty magical for me, and it definitely opened up my eyes to why I needed to go there and have that time to restore and explore and be in a completely different community and environment and live in a way that is outside of our day-to-day, right?
Yeah, I find it really interesting how when you went into that experience, you were expecting something, and it's something fabulous, like magical did happen. But it's just interesting how we go into these experiences thinking every moment is going to be this revelation, and all this sort of stuff, and then you're thinking, this is beautiful, it's not quite what I expected. But then as soon as you release that expectation, boom.
Yeah. Well, and I knew that it was going to be a little bit of a different experience because we were traveling as the whole family.
Yeah.
And I kind of have always known this, but definitely got confirmation of it on this trip, is that there's a really big difference between when I either solo travel or soul sister travel.
Yeah.
Versus my family unit. And there's nothing wrong with either end of that spectrum.
No, it's just different.
The experience is very different for me. And it's a messenger that it is very important for me to have those solo experiences or those soul sister experiences, because that's a really impactful aspect of my journey, is to have that time to just do Ramona and be all the divine feminine that I am. Not to say that I'm not with them, but it's just different especially when your household is all boys.
Yeah.
It's just a different energy. And really, this was about my son graduated this year, and this was his dream trip, and so it was about observing his experience in that and watching him have so much joy to have the experience. And then my husband being this amazing Boy Scout caretaker, cancer man that wants to have all the ideas set, and he had this whole list of these are the different places, and this is where we're going to get the food,
Right.
and this is, you know, these are the things that are my top like have to do's, and so we really, like, with the exception of maybe 30 miles, we traveled the entire circumference of the island while we were there. So, and it's a big island. So
Yeah,
but it's
that's
called
why they
Big
call it the Big
Island.
Island.
So, you know, it's such a lovely experience, and now that my son's an adult and, you know, his life is transitioning, this was kind of like the last big to do as our family unit. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a pretty amazing, intense, heart-opening experience that was had, and that definitely has shifted some things, and it happened within the last 24 hours of our trip, and I'm still processing through it, and it definitely is helping to, as we were saying before, that yin time, taking that time to pause or let new ideas rise. What rised within me wasn't necessarily a new idea so much as it was a affirmation of it's time to move further into that idea. So
yeah, I'm just hearing you say going down and then rising, the rising, and it reminds me of the story of the goddess that we're focusing on this week, Inanna, who represents heaven and earth, and meeting her shadow, and she literally had to dive down into the depths to meet her other half, her sister.
Yeah.
But in doing so, she had to shed the story is that like at each level something came off until she met her sister at the depths. There was she was naked, she was vulnerable, she had arrived, and then as she rose, she was taking that energy and coming out, emerging her whole self. She had met those two halves, became whole as she came through, and it's just such a beautiful image, I think, of just diving into the depths of that shadow. And I know you wanted to talk about the whole shadow part.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple words that you used in this description of Inanna that I think are really important to bring very clearly up into our conversation. And it was the releasing of layers.
Right.
In the story, it was clothing or what have you that she was releasing.
It's just whatever is weighing you down. Yeah.
But it's a representation
exactly
of those weights that we carry, right? And then the second word that really struck me in your explanation was vulnerability. So when we're talking about our shadow selves, there's a lot of I don't want to do that. I want to live in the light. Like, that's too much. I don't know. You know, like, I've heard that more than you know. More than you know, I've heard that.
Can we just bypass that?
From clients and friends. Can we just not do that? Like, that would be really great if we could just move beyond that. Yeah. I was introduced to shadow work in that phrasing. I think that I've known of this kind of work prior to that wording being introduced to me, but when I started working with a co-creator in Texas, and she was from a shamanic tradition, and so she brought this idea of our shadows into my purview, and understand as she's explaining it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. It's just I called it something else.
Yeah.
It's real easy in the spiritual journey to totally be focused on bringing yourself into the light. But here's the thing. We are duality. Right. We are duality in every expression of this planet that we live on. You can see duality, day and night, cold and hot. Like, those are just simple observations, but if you really look at that, it exists. Even within our being, we have spirit and human. So shadows are the duality to light. The shadow is the duality to the light. When we're born, we come in shadowless for the most part, unless we have some karmic debt that we're carrying into this lifetime, right? And it's through this human 3D experience that shadows begin to be created. And so what are shadows? These are these aspects of ourself that we punish, that we wish we didn't have, that we abuse ourselves over, tell ourselves, shame ourselves over. That's the word I want to use, shame ourselves over. And for the longest time, that just seemed like that's just how I had to live. I just had to have all of those things. I had to experience all those things all the time. And life was just hard and trudgery, right? And really, truly, when you're feeling like all of this weight is normal, like, this is just normal. So then you get, awoken as, oh, the light. So then I'm just going to move to the light. And I'm going to leave all this back here.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, wherever you go, there you are. That's a really good. And I actually used that in a conversation with someone recently. Wherever you go, there you are. The reality is those shadows are your opportunity for growth, those opportunities for healing, those opportunities to honor a life experience that you had, or a belief structure that you had, or insert word here, whatever it is for you. And you can love it. You can honor it. You can give it the space that it needs to be heard. Because that's the thing, right? Like, this is almost bringing me to tears. Like, that statement right there. Give it the space to be heard. Because when we're pressing it down or ignoring it or moving it over to the side so that we can just move on into the light, we're not giving it space to be heard. And that's disempowering for me. It's when I sit with it, and it's not that I sit in it. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna get all in this shadow and be all blah, like really just let it take me over, right? It's that it shows up and I'm like, okay, shadow, I see you. I see you, I hear you, and I honor you. Let me say that again. I see you, I hear you, and I honor you. That is a phrase that I use in working with clients when they're having that aha of that feeling or that density or that shadow. Because by affirming them, it gives them the space to affirm it for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm thinking also, I mean, it's a meeting of your whole self. Mm-hmm. When you come together with your shadow, then you are joining your two halves of yourself.
Yeah, your two dualities. Yeah.
And that you, like I was saying or before, like Inanna, she rose out of the depths with all this strength and magnificence because she was whole.
Right.
And that's the power in it. So why would we want to run away from that shadow if we know it's going to?
Because we were taught that pain isn't good. Right? Avoid the pain. Well, it's not about avoiding the pain or living in the pain. It's about honoring what is it that's showing up that brought the pain, right? And so that's where I'm guiding you is we go to the space of, okay, I see you, I hear you, I honor you. And then we can look at the shadow and say, what are you here to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
What are you here to offer me? Because what you're doing when you ask that question, what you do when you sit and you commune with that shadow aspect of yourself, you're bringing it to the light. You're bringing the light to it. That is really what I mean to say. Because you're shining a light on this dark energy and saying, I'm going to give you the spotlight. Right? So imagine you're on stage and it's a black stage, and then the spotlight comes on and there's a person standing right in the middle of the stage, right? So this is your shadow. You've spotlighted this shadow that's shown up for you over and over again, or shown up for you in a way that is bigger than life, and it has to be observed, right? And you have two choices at that point in time. You can shame it, put it down again, move it to the side again, avoid it, or you can do this and embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
And allow it to teach you. So you're shining your light onto it. And then what happens next? You begin to heal it. You begin to rise up, rise into a more magnificent expression of yourself. Because you are taking the lesson that the shadow is showing you, and you're saying, I'm worth more than continuing this. I will gain so much insight from this experience that it's going to help me become a better mother, wife, practitioner, employee, whatever word you want to insert into this box. And you can operate from a higher awareness level. You don't have to continue to react to life from the shadow. Instead, you're going to honor the shadow, and you're going to say, okay, how can I bring you into my life and let you be an informant of where I need to shift, where I need to operate in a different way. This is very, very powerful work. Very, very powerful work. And it's work that I know Paige and I are in contemplation of how we can offer experiences to invite you into working with it more. So I got a real clear message this morning in the shower, which is one of those places that I get those messages because I'm not doing anything else. There's nothing else to do, right?
A lot of us sing really well in the shower, and we have the most amazing revelations.
But I can see some workshop platforms around the subject of shadow work, and I think that especially in the time that we're experiencing right now, it's important.
Yeah, and it is so helpful to do it together, or with another goddess sister that can bear witness and be the one to say, I see you, I hear you, I get you. And we can, we second guess ourselves. We think, is this bad? This is not a good thing. And am I wrong for doing this? I mean, all those things. And you just need somebody to witness and hold space for you in that. And it's a process. I'm just thinking about how when you do a deep dive, like plunge down really deep, really fast, your ears just want to explode. I mean, it is so uncomfortable. But when you go down a little bit at a time, right? And you get a chance
that pressure,
right, to equalize a little
that
more
pressure.
Right. So but a lot of times we expect to, like, oh gosh, I got to do that deep dive and it is going to hurt. But that's not really how.
No.
And that's really not the best way to go about it.
It's not. And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I think that we naturally, in the way that we have been raised in this world. It's got to do it now. It's got to be fast. It's got to be hard. It's got to hurt. I mean, yes, some pain points might show up, but it doesn't have to be like exhaustingly painful. Like we want to enter this work with the divine feminine, right? Being gentle. And just like we said with Inanna, it's not like she took everything off and just went to it. It was one layer at a time.
In fact, it was a requirement that she basically stop at each stage and take off a piece of clothing. And she was not going to get down to the depths unless she started peeling away those layers and becoming more and more vulnerable. And it's just such a beautiful experience when you think of it that way, and not scary or.
And you know, I think Paige and I were talking about this last week when we kind of came back together and started to reintegrate from our break before our first goddess chat this week. The importance of community in your journey. You know, it is real easy to get into a headspace of I have to do it alone. I can't afford this. I can't, like, we can really come up with, those are all shadows, by the way, friends. All those reasons why you can't.
Right.
That's part of your shadow work. But there's all these reasons why we can't do, or we can't get the support that we need, or I just have to suffer through it for myself. What I will share with you that I have experienced over the last 5 years since Spirit really dropped into me, the importance of community, the importance of like-minded sisterhood, is that my journey has been more enjoyable since I have opened myself up to being on path with others rather than doing it all by myself. Because, you know, I have all these tools, right? I've been a practitioner for nearly 20 years. I have all these tools. I can do it for myself. I don't need to have somebody else show me the way. Well, that's a bunch of bunk. And in some areas, I really did lean into the, okay, I'm just going to go and let somebody do for me. But I resisted in other areas. And in the last year, since I have really followed the guidance of Spirit, to be in community, to let myself be the student. And that means going to classes, but it also means going to a practitioner that can hold me for an hour in energy work.
Yeah.
Going to a coach that can reflect back to me, this is what you're saying. Is this really what you want? Is this really what you mean? And all of those times that I give myself the space to be in those communities, whether it's a single practitioner or a group setting, I'm filling this well of self-care that then allows me to be the practitioner that I'm here to be. So even this month that Paige and I said, we're just going to pause. That was part of that. It was like, okay, I need to reset. I need to reinvigorate. I need to see what inspirations show up while we're not doing this for a month.
And I did the opposite. I went, oh, okay, here's some time. What can I do to fill it up? Because there is stuff I want to do and need, you know, and I was giving. And you talk about, you know, learning. And I was taking these seminars and just, and it was very yang energy and thank you, Ramona, for helping me process that. And so I really like, and I'm filling up my calendar with receiving. Let me tell you, I'm just going to sit back and let everybody do this for me. But when you were saying how you have all these tools, and I could do this for myself, I can, and however the importance of choosing to have somebody else assist you in that. And it really is very special for you to receive. and let those people exercise their gifts, and you're giving them the gift of their skill and their magic.
Well, it's that whole I see you, I hear you, I honor you, right? So it's I'm allowing myself to lean into someone else's magic.
Yeah.
And let them be the caretaker for a moment. And I'm going to tell you right now, from a first child syndrome that I have, it is really hard to let go and let somebody else do for me. And I have to really work the edges of my ego when I'm resisting allowing myself to be cared for. And this has been active journey for me for about 10 years, but I've gotten better about it, I think, over the last 5. So as always, we hope that this chat is offering you some insights, some inspiration, some opportunity to witness within yourself maybe how this goddess Inanna is communicating to you. And we'd love to hear your feedback and anything that you would like to share in regards to this subject. And we are in the exploratory stages of new ideas and inspirations for our community and diving deeper into the goddess work.
Yeah, we're definitely shifting and moving and wanting to create more experience for everybody. So we're excited to move into that next phase of invoking the divine goddess and everyone.
Yep. So if you have some wants, ideas, thoughts, we would love for you to reach out to us. Feel free to send us a message. We will be probably seeking some feedback from some of our participants fairly soon. So keep an eye out for all of that. In addition, we're back into our flow of new moon, full moon gatherings. So we're actually meeting a couple days after the actual cycle, but still in the energy of the cycle, because we really have found that our Wednesday nights are the best time to meet. And this month, it just happened that our Wednesday night is going to fall day and a half after the new moon. So next Wednesday, the 8th, we will be meeting. So we hope to have you join us. And be on the lookout. We're going to be working with another goddess this month. So I'll be dropping that information into our events very soon. And look forward to sharing that with you as well.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day, goddesses.
Have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week.
All right.